Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're here to tackle those big, complex questions and really pull out the essential stuff you need.
Glad to be diving in.
So today, we're looking at maybe the biggest puzzle in physics, getting quantum mechanics and general relativity to play nice.
Right. You've got QM nailing the small stuff, GR handling gravity, and the big picture.
But they just don't mesh. They contradict each other. So here's the thought. What if that clash, that incompatibility isn't the problem?
What if it's the solution?
Exactly. What if it's the key?
And that's pretty much the core of what we're digging into today. It's based on this really fascinating report about a theory called FBSR.
FBSR. Okay.
Yeah, and it takes a completely different tack. Instead of trying to smooth things over, it kind of leans into the contradiction.
Oh, leans in. How?
Well, it pulls heavily from Gödel's incompleteness theorems. The idea that some consistent systems just can't prove everything about themselves from the inside.
Right, the mathematical limits.
Precisely. And then it builds on Ross's formulation, which sort of hints that maybe a deeper kind of completeness, a metalogical one, can actually emerge from logical tension itself.
Wow, okay, so completeness because of contradiction, not in spite of it. That flips the script entirely.
It really does. It's a fundamental shift in thinking.
So let's get into the weeds a bit. How does this FBSR theory actually propose this works? How does tension build reality?
Okay, so the central claim is pretty wild. It says reality is essentially a fractal system.
Fractal, meaning self-similar patterns, like repeating scales.
Exactly. Think branching trees, coastlines, that kind of idea. But specifically, this theory suggests it's nested three-dimensional spheres, SS spheres, and they're scaled by the golden ratio.
The golden ratio.
Yeah. And this nesting and scaling creates what the theory calls a topological closure. It's like, imagine a perfectly interconnected, self-contained loop where everything fits, even the contradictory bits.
So the contradictions between QM and GR aren't erased, they're accommodated, held within this larger structure.
That's the idea. They coexist, resolved within this fractal, self-consistent whole. It's a very different way of looking at unification.
It sounds incredibly abstract, almost philosophical, but you mentioned a report. This isn't just theory, right? There must be ways to test it.
Absolutely. That's what makes it compelling. It makes some very specific, testable predictions, things we can actually look for.
Like what? What's the evidence we should be searching for?
Okay, for one, it predicts very specific leftover patterns or residuals in the cosmic microwave background non-Gaussianities.
The CMB, the Big Bang's afterglow. Non-Gaussianities are like deviations from perfect randomness.
Exactly, tiny fluctuations. And this theory predicts specific kinds of non-Gaussian patterns at certain scales, certain multipoles. And interestingly, the current data already has some hints, some weirdness there that isn't fully explained.
Okay, that's one. What else?
Well, maybe even more striking, it offers a precise numerical correction for the tau lepton's anomalous magnetic dipole moment, the G-2 problem.
Ah, the G2 value. That slight mismatch between theory and experiment for how particles like muons and taphus wobble in magnetic fields.
Precisely. And this theory predicts a specific number for the tau correction, one that future experiments could actually measure.
Okay, that's hitting fundamental particle physics head on. Is there more? You mentioned something bigger scale.
Yes. And this is probably the most revolutionary prediction. It proposes a mechanism to explain galaxy rotation curves.
Wait, galaxy rotation, that's the classic dark matter problem, right? Galaxies spinning too fast for the visible matter they have.
That's the one. For decades, the solution has been dark matter, this invisible stuff making up most of the universe's mass.
But this theory says...
This theory says you don't need it. It offers a precise mathematical mechanism derived from its core principles that explains those rotation curves without invoking dark matter at all.
No dark matter, seriously.
Seriously, if that prediction holds up, well, it completely changes cosmology.
Yeah.
It suggests our understanding of gravity itself needs tweaking, not that there's missing mass.
That's enormous. That would overturn decades of work. It also feels like it loops back to the philosophical side.
It really does.
Reality as this dynamic, maybe inherently incomplete system where the gaps actually drive things forward.
Exactly. It paints a picture of the universe not as a finished puzzle, but as something constantly unfolding. It even resonates, interestingly, with some ancient ideas like Nagarjuna's concept of emptiness or sunyata, where things exist interdependently, defined by their relationships, and in a sense, their lack of inherent fixed self.
So the universe isn't static, it's evolving, maybe because of these inherent tensions.
That's the implication. The gaps aren't flaws, they're the engine.
So maybe the final thought for you, listening, is this. What if the goal isn't a single, perfectly consistent theory of everything?
Right. What if the universe and our scientific understanding of it is more like a story that's constantly being written, where embracing the contradictions, the tensions, is how we move forward?
A process of engaging with the gaps, not just trying to fill them. Something profound to think about.